I feel extremely privileged to share the screen space with some eminent guests today. To begin with, let's welcome the moderator for the panel discussion, Mr. Sunit Mehra. Sunit heads the private equity and board practices for Hunt Partners, India's finest leadership and board advisory firm. He is an advisor to several Indian business houses and MNCs on matters of people strategy and governance. Sunit also set up Third Sector Partners, India's best recognized not-for-profit human capital firm for the development sector. TSP is the largest donor for Katalyst and was founded jointly with his spouse, Ms. Sheetal Mehra. Sunit is ex-chairman, United Way of India, the world's largest philanthropic organization, donating in excess of rupees 300 crore in India. He has in the past held positions of vice chairman, American Chamber of Commerce, Mumbai, and treasurer, Wharton Alumni Association of India. He is a global winner of the prestigious World of Difference Award, TIAW USA. Sunit received a business degree from the Wharton School and an engineering degree from the University of Pennsylvania, USA. I would now request Sunit to take over from here.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, Sunit. Yes, you are.
You guys are controlling this so well that I was on mute and couldn't unmute myself. So well done. Fabulous. What an opportunity for all of us, right? Something different, something unique. I mean, even if it's COVID, so what? This is the first time that we are actually doing this virtual. This is the first time that we actually have the opportunity to have all our girls, 500 students, current students, alumni, so many of them joining. And that's such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Life keeps throwing me stones and I keep finding the diamonds. I think we have managed to find the diamond as far as COVID is concerned for this event, at least, and that's fabulous. It's very interesting if you don't know this little story about a little boy. The teacher asked everybody in the class to write down on a piece of paper what they wanted to be when they grow up. And one boy wrote something. The teacher was very upset. She said, go home, tell your mother to call me. So he went home, he showed his mother the paper. Teacher had said, call me, what do you want to be when you grow up? She called the teacher and said, what's the problem? You asked me to call you. Do you know what your child wrote on the paper? And do you know what the child wrote? He wrote the word happy. So that's the bottom line, my young friends. That's absolutely the bottom line. Life is about being happy. The lady who actually gave this wonderful quote, who you might have seen, Anna, Claudia, and Tunes, wrote a book which is called The A to Z of Happiness. And life keeps throwing me stones and I find the diamonds is, as Mr. Mahajan said, all about the inspiration, the self-belief. And if there's one thing that Katalyst really stands for, then it is about building self-belief. What we want for each and every one of you is to believe in yourselves, first and foremost. Believe in your capabilities, believe in the fact that you have your own dream, your own possibilities, and you can be that beautiful swan, the best possible version of yourself. And that's what Katalyst aims to make you. So without further ado, let me introduce our awesome panelists. And as you know, we have a little twist that we won't keep it just going as a simple panel discussion. At a certain point in time, there is going to be our version of Coffee with Katalyst. where we will put some very exciting and challenging questions to our panelists, sometimes putting them on the spot. So if the panelists are okay with that, we are going to start. And I would like to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Anand Deshpande. Dr. Deshpande is the founder, chairman, managing director of Persistent Systems. A true visionary, Anand's strengths lie in identifying and investing in next generation technologies and encouraging internal entrepreneurship to ensure that Persistent, the company that he founded, stays at the forefront of technology and innovation. Anand is a BTech honors from IIT Kharagpur and holds an MS and PhD in computer science from Indiana University. He was recognized by IIT as a distinguished alumnus and by the Indiana University with the Career Achievement Award. Anand has served numerous positions at various professional and non-profit organizations and is a founder member of Ispirit, India's first product think tank to foster a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem in India. His family established the Asra Foundation to focus on creating self-employment at scale. And this is something that Anand will talk to us later. But Anand, or should I say Dr. Deshpande?
No, just call me Anand.
Okay. So Anand, welcome. And the first question really goes to you, which is if you can share how this topic and your experiences have been, and as far as the students can learn something from what your experiences have been in relation to the topic. Thank you.
Yes, so first, thanks a lot for inviting me here. It's a real pleasure to be on this forum, and especially because we are talking to some amazing young ladies. And what I want to encourage you to look at is to not just look at your immediate first job, but also to think about your long-term career and how you can be business leaders and leaders in the community for the future. I must say that, when I was growing up, I was, relatively blessed, meaning I did not have to really do anything crazy. I had good college education. And when I was looking for a job, I had a job in the US and things were all fine. But, always there is something new you want to do. And when I was coming back to India, a lot of people thought that was a stupid move. But as I tell everyone else, at that time or even now, that you have to be at the right place at the right time. But unfortunately, you don't know it when you are there. So the challenges that we all see are because, you find yourself in a spot and it's up to you what you make out of it. At the same spot, you might feel like you're in the right place. And in some cases, you don't know if you're in the right place, but then you have to do something different. I just want to mention, because we just went through this COVID, and I'm going to give you a business situation. I've seen these downtimes about 3 times in the last 30 years of running Persistent. First was in 2000, 2001, when we first got into the dot-com burst, and pretty much all the businesses that we were working with were under a lot of pressure and they shut down. And quite a few of them stopped, and it was pretty rough. Similar problem happened in 2008 when the global crisis happened. I must say that in both of these cases, it really pushes you to look at the things differently. And what I found was that by building a network, being true to your friends and customers, and sort of being supportive to them, we always found a way out, and that was very important. And I think that when we look at a situation like this, when life is tough, it feels bad, I think you have to work with your network. You have to work with your friends and family and your other peers to see how to find a way around it. So, you get all these stones from some people and otherwise, but you find the stones together and then you'll find diamonds out of that. So I think it's working together, and the camaraderie and the work we do together will help us get to finding these diamonds. So I'm really excited to be here. And as we talk and progress, I'm sure we'll have more stories to tell.
Thank you, Anand. That's really inspirational from the perspective of the fact that you've been building this business for the last 30 years, and many times the ups and downs have hit. And as you rightly said, We move forward, we find the diamonds and we move forward. Our next panelist for the day is a lady by the name of Agni Davda, very well known, and she was the former MD and CEO of Godrej Nature's Basket. The youngest CEO, I'll come to that of course, but currently an independent director of Mahindra Logistics and strategic advisor in Bain Advisory Network. Avani is a passionate business leader who has led businesses across consumer, retail, and hospitality sectors. Avani is credited with having led the transformation and turnaround of Nature's Basket, which culminated in the strategic sale of the business. Prior to that, she was the first CEO of Tata Starbucks, and as I said, the youngest, not only for Tata Starbucks, but youngest in the Tata Group. Avani ensured that this venture became the fastest growing in the history of Starbucks. Avani has been recognized as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum, Switzerland, and has been featured on Fortune and Food Wine list of 25 most innovative women in food and drink in 2014, the only Indian woman on the list. Welcome, welcome, Avani. My question to you, Avani, tell us about the diamonds that you found and the stones that were thrown at you.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here as part of this amazing, Zoom meeting. I would have loved to see all these inspiring young women in person, but it's great. I think it's a privilege really to be talking to all of you. As far as stones being thrown at life, I'll tell you a little story. As I was growing up, middle class Bombay family, and as you start getting into school, you always have questions as to what your parents wanted to be when you are asked this question. And strangely, my mother, was somebody who was from a science background and had a entrance to a medical college, but she kind of let it go because she wanted to marry a dad. You can imagine this in 1980s when a young girl heard it, and I was like, something's not right about my mother. She should have become a doctor. She's brilliant. Why did she choose to be a homemaker? And as I started, getting to know my parents better, I think what I realized is for them, living your life to the fullest, and every night that you go to sleep, I think knowing that you're happy with what you have decided without allowing an external force or anyone outside to give you their judgment about your life is very important. So, even as a girl, when I got whatever opportunities I did with the group, with the Tara group, and I felt blessed, it was very unusual for me to think about it that you're the only woman CEO, because growing up, I had a lot of powerful, balanced environment, I would say, because I saw women at home and in my family, at workplace, and the Taj is where I started my career. I never was, shy of acknowledging that women have a rightful place at work, at home, and in the society. So leaders have always inspired me. I think about being happy, it's very important lesson that I learned from my mom is that your locus of control has to be within you. It's who you want to be and what you want out of life. Don't allow other people to, take that control away. And I think it's held it's been the foundation of who I am and how I take my decisions in life. And as I grew up and fortunately, got different kinds of assignments, different roles, I would say I was really, really lucky when I got to work with the Starbucks joint venture. And I learned that it's a very different kind of company, and it really added a different perspective to my life. So leading that JV was amazing. I think it is a people-oriented company. It taught me a lot. It was a wonderful brand. But even as I was going through the journey, putting out different stores, and when I look back, people say it's the fastest growing market, but I would always see another lady in Starbucks, Belinda Wong, who used to head the China market, still does. And she was putting, one store every day and then 2 stores every day in China. So nothing compared to the humble job that we were doing here. So what I learned is that you will get a lot of different stones, you'll get a lot of different recognition, you'll get support, you'll get kindness, you'll get warmth, you'll get fatigue, you'll get anger. Everything will come to life. And my learning has been simply embrace everything, but never lose sight of what you want and who you want to be. I think that holds all of us and anchors us down. And it's amazing, Sumit, Sunit, I was watching the video as you released this amazing yearbook of Katalyst, and the cover page has a butterfly. I'd love to know the inspiration, because somebody who's had a very profound impact on my life, somebody I look up to, is the founder of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. And he's written this amazing book, and in which he said about, how do you motivate yourself when the chips are down, when things are not going your way? And he said, if you analyze insect life and you look at the law of aerodynamics, a butterfly actually is not supposed to fly. And till date, in fact, a few days back, I was reading a research about how they're trying to mimic the wings of a butterfly to, develop insect-sized drones. So actually, a butterfly is not supposed to fly, according to us. But look at how narrow-minded mankind is, right? The butterfly doesn't know that it's not supposed to fly. It doesn't attend any physics class like us, but it still flies. And why this particular memory stays with me, at this quote I read and later discussed it with Howard, is because, the world cannot dictate what you want to achieve. It's up to you. It's up to you to defy everything and be what you want to be. So really, I'd love to know why you've chosen the butterfly on your yearbook. I hope it's because of this amazing law, and things like that really make us who we are. These little snippets that we read sometimes become the diamonds that we hold so close to our heart. So thank you for having me over. That's just who I am and where I got where I got.
Thank you, Avni. That's so nice of you. Yes, the butterfly is a very important symbol for Katalyst. If you actually replace the K with a traditional C, then we believe that we are that little catalyst that actually transforms the silkworm into a butterfly. The symbolism for us was really about the fact that young ladies are beautiful like butterflies. They have unique abilities, and as you rightly said, of course, that they have the ability to fly, despite when traditionally or scientifically they are not really meant to fly. And of course, the fact that they go through a very, very difficult phase when they just before they transform into the beautiful butterfly. So yeah, but all our catalysts are beautiful and fabulous achievers, and that's where the symbolism comes from. So thank you for that. And our last but not the least panelist for the day, another super well-known lady, and especially in the world of IT, is Farana Hak, the Group Director Devices in Microsoft. She is responsible for empowering an ecosystem of partners who leverage Microsoft platforms to build solutions that power the intelligent edge. She is also responsible for the OEM business in the country. Prior to Microsoft, Farhana was the VP and business head for IoT at Vodafone Business Services, where she set up the practice. A key focus area was to increase awareness and adoption of IoT as a key enabler for digital transformation in the region. Farana holds a BE from NIT Rourkela and an MBA in marketing from SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. An active mentor for startups, she campaigns unlocking human potential. Outside work, Farhana is passionate about philanthropy and supports several nonprofits with a particular focus on women and children. With that, let me welcome Farhana.
Thank you so much, Sunit, and really inspiring seeing all of you on the global convention. Really, really happy to be here.
Tell us, Farhana, how this the theme of today vibes with your life.
I can say for 5 minutes back, I was very happily placed in my work of home office and waiting for my turn till my neighbor decides that they have to do construction now. So there's this major noise happening, and I have to scurry, and I'm literally sitting in the corridor outside my house because there's no other place where there won't be noise. So you have to improvise as life throws you various curveballs. But on a personal note, I think I was blessed to be born in a family which is traditional but very but very early on in our lives, we were taught that there will never be change is the only constant. My dad was with the government, and we moved countries and continents every 2 years. So every time, and this is in 80s when India had not become so big, globalization was not that big, and we didn't really have too many Indian people across the world. And every 2 years, we used to change schools, we used to change countries. It was a different culture, it was a different set of environment, and you had to adjust. So I think the only constant in my life that time was the three values my parents taught me. First, that every person comes with a point of view, which is their learned experience. So don't neglect that just because it doesn't agree with your point of view. So that was one. Second thing, especially to that time, an introvert girl, was you have to learn to make friends, and you have to learn to take the first step in making friends or in a new environment. And the third was that every time you feel you're uncomfortable in a situation, try and face it rather than run away with it. Because in life, as you grow up, you will always be faced with uncomfortable situations, and how you deal with it is the stepping stone of how you build character as you grow. So I think those three has been something which I have grown all my life. As my career grew from what I had planned to what it eventually became, it kind of is something which has always been the cornerstones of my journey. So one thing I always believe is I never feel that I have a plan and this is it, I know it all, right? I always believe that you never know what's going to come. So it's always better to be prepared. And whatever comes, you can make sense out of it then.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Farhana. That's very nice of you. And these 3 points, I'm sure the girls, young ladies, I hope you're taking notes. This is coming from years of wisdom of people who have gone through the same road that you will be soon starting your journey on. With that, we come to the second phase of our exciting panel discussion. So thank you, panelists, for giving us those wonderful introductory opening remarks, sharing your life's experiences. Now, this phase, as I said, is going to be a little tougher because I'm going to put you on the spot with some interesting questions. It's coffee with Katalyst. So the idea is to be spontaneous and honest. And we will have a virtual hamper for you at the end. Usually there's always a winner. So let's see who's going to be the winner for coffee with Katalyst on this occasion. So Anand, you can be the brave one to field the first question. And my first question is, if you could wake up in the morning having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be and why? I think you're on mute. We have to unmute Anand. Sorry.
Hi. Right. So if I could only learn how to manage my time better, that would be the skill I would love to have. I think I have I feel like doing so many different things at the same time, and I'm always short of things to do it, short of time to do it. So if I could get the power of managing time better, that would be something I would love to have.
Okay, fabulous. Avani, the next one's coming to you. What is something you have dreamt of doing for a long time, and why haven't you done it?
I think for the longest time, I've been wanting to get into public service, and it's very unusual. I have nobody in my family who can inspire me to do that. But I do want to serve in the government or in any capacity, not just to give back, but I think because a lot of energy, focus, and difference can be made if one were to get into public life. So I've been thinking about it a lot, and hopefully, when the time is right, I should be able to do that in my life.
How nice. You'll be pleased to note that a lot of our Katalyst young ladies actually do go into public service. I always ask them and tell them that, guys, a corporate world job, you're going to make a lot more money. Are you really sure you want to do this? And they're like, yes. And when I asked them why, they said, somebody has to do something for the country. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's exactly what I want to hear. So, Farhana, next question to you. The one thing that you want to be remembered for? we're not expecting you to go anywhere, but still, the one thing that you want to be remembered for.
5 people can remember me saying they made a difference in their life and made it better. I would like to be remembered for that.
5.
5.
And
I
why
think
5?
to say, because it's very easy to say, oh, want to make a difference in life. But when you actually put pen to paper and want to make that effort to make a difference in someone's life, there's so much you need to walk with them the mile. And a one-time conversation, a two-time conversation is not enough to make a difference in someone's life. So that's why I said, why 5? I don't know. I just think it's a lucky number. So why 5 there? But it's a more realistic number where I want to say that at least there are 5 people who remember that I made a difference in their life.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. You'll be surprised to note that it's an interesting exercise. They ask you to actually write your obituary as you'd like it to be said out, after you are long gone. And when people actually do this exercise, that's actually one of the things that they want to have people say about them. But that's not what they strive for. And so it's amazing that you're already thinking about that. Okay, great. So back to you, Anand. If you could have lunch with one person across history, living or not, who would it be and why?
I was thinking about this. I thought I would love to have an opportunity to have lunch with Mrs. Indira Gandhi, actually. Growing up, when I was in school and college, she was the prime minister, and she seemed like she was doing all kinds of crazy things, to bold things, to brave things, whether it's the 71 war, the 77 emergency, and all kinds of crazy stuff. I would love to learn more about what she was thinking and why she was doing all the things that she was doing. And she seemed like the only one who was running all of those decisions as well. So I would really love to learn more from her about what was in her mind. Just seems like a curious person to me.
Wow. Yep. No doubt about that. And also the fact that she probably has the distinction of being the most, maybe, I'll not say the first, but surely in the top 5 first global heads of state of such a large nation and a democracy at that.
Correct.
And it's a testament really to our country that we were well ahead of our time and continue to be when it comes to diversity. And I like saying that because that's what Katalyst also stands for. So wonderful. Yes. The next question to Avani is your biggest regret in life.
Biggest regret, actually, don't have any, but as a young kid, I was a part of an acting school, and one of the reasons I didn't take it up as a career is because I thought, there's a shelf life and you fade out very easily. So I wonder now, with in today's world, when entertainment is such a big deal and the industry has gone from strength to strength, and even during this time digital is so powerful, I wish I were an actor.
Okay. Interesting. Yes, Netflix highest salaries currently are being paid by Netflix globally for so definitely the film world has gone into a different level altogether.
Yes.
What, if I can ask you why? I mean, what is it in acting?
I think it's the power to really, really impact. I think there are brilliant people out there who choose this as their profession. And the impact to be able to touch so many lives, to inspire, to make them cry, to just be a part of their happy and sad times, I think means a lot, because I think actors are brilliant at what they do, a lot of them who are successful. But Sunit, imagine the impact that they have, apart from being brand ambassadors, if they really apply their ability to impact humanity, in a good way. It'll be great. I mean, we have icons in our country, we have icons globally. I think they just hold such a special, place in everyone's heart. So I would cherish that if I could impact so many lives.
Nice. Yep, absolutely, no doubt about that. And all these icons can make a very, very big difference. It's interesting that I also shared that when maybe dream, if you want to call it, when I was a young kid. My mom was very intelligent mother, and she would always tell me, "Beta, pad lo, fir actor ban jana." Sorry for those who can't be, she would always say, just finish your studies, you can do whatever you want. And slowly, the studies went from 12s, to engineering and business. And finally, you reach a point where that's done. And she, of course, her objective was done as well. But great. So, Farhana, you are in an elevator with one of our Katalyst students, and it's your one chance to influence her life. What would you say?
Never stop learning. Never, because irrespective of how high you grow, irrespective of what you're doing, irrespective of even if you're the head of a state, a country, a company, anything, never stop learning. Every day we learn so much, and not only from our professional colleagues, a professional environment, but from our home environment, our kids, our friends, our people who work with us, for us. So never stop learning. It's immense amount of growth to you as an individual.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell me the one thing that you have learned in the last 1 year.
I learned this from a 5-year-old, that if you explain something in a nice manner, the probability of it being accepted and imbibed is much more than if when you explain this thing when your tone is not right. So how you explain and what your tone should be is very important. That is more important than the message. This I learned just 10 days back.
Very true. Very true. I'm being counseled on that continuously, on tone being very important.
The tone has to be right.
Very true.
Very
yes,
good.
I'm learning that every day as well in the last lockdown.
Yeah.
Anand, a tough question. You ready for an honest answer? What is a misconception that people have about you?
They think I'm too boring, actually.
Now you have to tell us why you think you're not boring.
That's an even harder problem. No, but I can be entertaining if I choose to be, but most of the time I tend to be, I tend to do my own things. So probably that's why people think I'm very boring.
But with your friends, it's different. Great. Okay. Avani, if there's one habit that you could change about yourself, what would it be?
I would love to, I'm not an early starter. I would love to change that I could wake up at 5 a.m. and sleep later. I want to really crunch the time that I sleep. And it's, since childhood, you get up at 7, but I know so many of my friends who are now waking up at 5, and there is a different meaning to that me time that you get between 5 to 7. I'd love to change that about myself. Just grab and watch the sunrise every morning.
Well, sleeping late would go well with your acting profession, because I believe Shah Rukh goes to sleep when the sun rises. Farhana, again, a difficult question. Honest answer. Share an embarrassing moment in your life.
When I was really thinking about this, so it is actually a pretty embarrassing one. I don't remember the word though. So I did, when I was with IBM, I did 3 months in Peru with World Bank as a corporate social responsibility. So I did 3 months of social service in Peru. And they have very funny names, funny pronouncing names. Actually, they may be finding our names to be funny also. So it's a cultural thing. And I was meeting this head of state. So Peru is very similar to India. It's very hierarchical, it's like Hamai Pahar, like how our hilly places are, very, very hierarchical, very village kind, panchayat and all that stuff. So I was meeting this head of the panchayat equivalent there, and everyone was super respectful, and I was being respectful. And the way they have a term, and now I don't remember for the life of me, it's been 5 years, but there's a term which I thought meant sir, and I kept on saying that for the 20 minutes conversation, and everyone's face had various shades of embarrassment of happening. After the meeting got over, my translator then tells me what I meant was an abusive word. I kept on saying with so much of respect. And I was like, why didn't you tell me then? He said, I was being respectful to you to not interrupt you in the conversation. I'm like, how does this help? But to give benefit to the head, he was, I sincerely apologize after that, and we all had a good laugh that time, but it was supremely embarrassing for me. Like, after that, one thing I've learned is whenever I'm going into a meeting with someone from a different culture, and I want to use a word of their language, I really practice it with a local to ensure that it sounds right and it doesn't have any other double meanings on that. So yeah, I never forget an incident.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that can be tough. I mean, but very impressive that your, as they say, corporate etiquette, the individual who was with you, he or she decided that they don't want to tell you anything in public to embarrass you. The translator, how
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, fabulous.
And that's why I said the culture there is very similar to India. They're very respectful to guests, right? So for them, I was the guest in their country. So they didn't want to embarrass me by calling it out. So yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Anand, over to you once again. And this is the last of the first part of the round. We'll see if we have a clear winner. If not, we keep going. Being an entrepreneur, it's a very hard journey, very hard journey. And, as we say, you're the only person who can motivate yourself when you're an entrepreneur. Where do you derive your inspiration from, Anand?
So I think there's two parts I want to mention here. One is that, I derive inspiration from lists I make about what I need to do. And I usually, and I suggest this to everyone actually, is that you should write down whatever you feel like you want to be doing. So if you write it down, then you think about it, it makes you read about it and makes you feel like going after it. So that's been something that I found to be very valuable. And the other thing that I do, which is related to that list, is also to talk to people who I would call my mentors. And then I share my lists with them. So they know what I'm trying to do, and that puts pressure and also inspires me to do what I decide and set out to do in the beginning.
Okay, very nice. I think that's a good takeaway for our students as well. Avani, to you, what is the one thing you could do with more of in your life?
I would love to have more time. I wish the days were 96 hours.
Right. Oh, nice. And I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the one thing that you will do with that extra time? I know you probably thought that would be coming.
No, I think if the days are longer, I think I would spend a lot more time engaging with the community. I would get a lot more time with my son, Param, who's all of 13. And I think there are so many things in life that gets missed out, right? When it's either your family or your friends or even at work, right? You make such powerful relationships. You want to really get out there and do different things in life. So I think time is something which is such a precious commodity. And I've learned this the hard way, even when I was a young mom or when I was blessed with leadership at a young age. I think managing your time is one thing, but having lots more of it, I think would be super. So, sometimes when my son tells me that in this part of the world, the sunlight is there for 6 months in a year, and I'm like, wow, that would be such an amazing life if you had the right temperature control. That would be the place to live in. So having more time with your loved ones, with your ambition, with yourself, gearing up your body to really be fitter. I think so many things to do. So 24 hours is too short.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Farhana, tell me, share with us either one idea or person that changed your life.
I think person. And I won't go. That's the way too many people who have inspired me in life. As I said, I take inspiration. I was just talking yesterday to this really young startup called Pixels. He's a 22-year-old, and they're doing space technologies. Or Awais Ahmed. So we were just yesterday in the leadership. We were talking when we were hearing him talk and learning from him, and he's 22 years old. So many people inspire. But my first inspiration and my constant inspiration has been my sister. So coming, as I said, from a very traditional family, when someone has walked the path before you, has created the road before you, it's an easier journey. So all my life, I have always looked up to the path that she has created. Our journeys were never meant to be in the same, and she's also technology, we're never meant to be in the same industry, but the fact that she had to break a lot of glass ceilings, she had to counter a lot of questions from family. We come from a very traditional Muslim family, so a lot of that was done by her. So she has been a constant inspiration to me, and she continues to be.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's always good to have elder siblings who can show you the way. In our Katalyst community, we have a lot of siblings. It's actually very nice because the elder sister joins and tells the younger sister, this is the one thing that you have to do. So yes, we are also very lucky and blessed with that. So I think we are down to the end of the first round. Doesn't seem like we have a clear winner. Everybody has been answering quite honestly, and I don't know if you, Shalima or Aarti, are going to do a poll, but maybe not. So let's dive into the second half of Coffee with Katalyst and see if a few more questions can get us to a point where we have a clear winner. Okay, so back to Anand. One thing that you would like to be better at?
So, I wish I were a better writer than I am. I need to write a lot in my job, but it takes me a long time to write anything down. And I wish I were more fluent and more sort of natural in terms of writing stuff. And it's not like that it's not like I don't write, but I tend to spend a lot of time. If I have to put out 4 pages, it just takes me a long time of re-edit and edit. And it doesn't feel like I'm very efficient when I'm writing things down. So I wish I was far more effective in doing that.
Okay. Yep. That's helpful. Avani, what turns you off about people?
Inauthenticity. I just can't
Right.
take. And I also had a T-shirt that I wear to gym. Fake people, please don't speak to me. No, I can't tolerate, and it sounds strange. You meet so many different kinds of people, and lots of people tell you that you have to be a great salesman, but one learning that I've had is that in any role that you play, whether it's your life or your work, I think authenticity is so important because the world is shrinking. We're having this event, which we never thought that we would do virtually and so the technology, the pace at which it grows is so powerful. I think therefore there is zero space, like people used to say, zero tolerance in terms of ethics. I think there's zero tolerance for inauthenticity. I think people have to bring real problems to the table. They have to speak very authentically and honestly. And this goes a long way in both your career and your life. I think, especially for women, when a lot of younger women who work in our company, they come and talk to us about, I really don't think I need to have a child because, I'll have to balance my career. I think that's a whole lot of inauthenticity. The reason being, you should be very sure of what you want to give and get out of life. And there is no space for, yes, you need guidance. You need to work around support systems. You need to find the right track. You should go out there and make mistakes, but don't be dishonest in any relationship is something that I truly believe, because it just clutters your mind and really poorly affects all your relationships. So authenticity is so important, whether at work or in life.
True. And it's also easier. It's easier to say the truth, as they say.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So Farhana, tell us when you missed the opportunity of a lifetime.
It's a different path now, but when I was giving my engineering, when I was taking my exams for my engineering, I was also taking my exams for medical. And at that moment of time, I got through medical, I got through AFMC, and I got through REC and NIT, Rourkela. And then that time and that wisdom and that moment, I decided to take engineering on forward and not do medical. But now when I sit down and I see during COVID times, the impact doctors have made in everyone's life, right? Each of us have made an impact from technology and everything, but the selfless giving doctors have done, I sit and think, had I been a doctor, maybe I would have made a bigger impact, given back a bit more to society than what is possible now in the current capacity of my profession. So in the current scheme of things, maybe had you asked me this question last year, I would have given you a different answer. Current scheme of things, I would say that had I pursued becoming a doctor, maybe that would be an opportunity which could have been different for me now.
It's such an interesting, aspect of life that, of course, even in philosophy, we talk about it. Life perpetually presents you with crossroads, and this is a big learning, I think, for our students, whether they are small crossroads or big crossroads, a fork rather, I would say, maybe not a crossroad, a fork, and you either go left or you go right. I know that a lot of students will always deliberate this, and one of the questions that really comes up is, how do you know which is the right path to choose? And I think I'll break here because I actually would like for all our panelists to answer this question, because when we grew up, the choices were very limited. Literally, when I was thinking about college, my it was in those days, as you probably know, if you were very intelligent, you became a doctor. If you were a little less intelligent, you became an engineer. And then, everybody was after that. So literally, you never thought that, why am I doing engineering or not? That was life. We had Ambassador, we had Fiat, we had Bajaj Chetak. That was it. Either you went for a foreign holiday or you didn't go. Or you didn't go for a holiday at all. Now, our youngsters have choices all the time. I mean, literally, even if it's a job, at our time, you pretty much stayed with one company. I was talking with my father-in-law the other day. One company was so common. 40 years, you graduated. But today, it's all about choices. So share with us, Anand, and then maybe Avani can take that, and then Farhana, that how does one decide what could be the right choice? And if you feel there's no such thing as right choice, that's fine. Would love to hear your views.
Yes, I think it's a very good question, and I have been thinking about this for a while. So I'm going to give you my opinion on how I go about thinking about this problem. So I don't say that I have the answer, but I'll give you the process. So what I find, as mentioned earlier, I like writing things down. So one of the things that I use is a strategy that I call enumerate and eliminate. So what I tend to do is, when I have a set of options, I make a list of all the possible things I could do at this point. So I could be doing engineering, I could be doing this, I could be doing whatever. At different points of life, you ask yourselves a question and you can write down a set of things that could happen. And then, when you write things down and you see the total list of what possibilities you have, it's quite obvious that some of them self-eliminate themselves. And then you're left with a few things. And then again, that doesn't necessarily mean you have found a solution, but then you pick the best available option under the conditions that you are making, but at least you have at least thought through the question. Now, the second part that I want to mention, which is equally important, is that I think, especially for young people, they should not get too hung up on the choices that they have made, and they should figure out a way, if they have to make a change, the impact at that point is not very significant. So if you make some choice and you find that that was not the best choice and you want to do something else, early on in your career, you can make a shift. And, even if you were to potentially feel like you have lost certain amount of time because you went into a certain direction, I think it's not the end of the world. And that's something that I think the young people in the group should take on with them and say, if I did something and I found that was not what I want to continue to do, don't hesitate to make a change and keep moving.
Thank you.
Not making that change can be worse, because you could get stuck on something because you made a choice. It's very hard to say what is the right choice at that time.
True. Thank you. Avani, your perspective?
I think, Sunit, for me, decision making is, like I said, it's important to take your own decision. You can take advice and counsel, but it's very important before you decide. I think a lot of people, and even when I was young, either through education, training, or just with the circle of friends and family around, I think knowing yourself and what you want is a lot of times missed out, because a lot of decisions are driven by external factors, what people want you to do. Like, for example, Sunit, to your question, I was, fortunately an A set in all my examinations, would come out on the top. It was very easy for me to get into medicine or engineering or whatever I wanted to be, but I didn't want to go down that path. And for my biggest gift in life, I think, has been my parents, because they said, you should choose what you want to do. You have to live your life with it. So one is knowing yourself as to what is going to likely to make you happy is very important. The second thing about decision making, which is not often spoken about, is take accountability for decisions that you take in your life. I think a lot of people later in life, after you walk down a path, it's very easy to blame your parents, your friends, your significant others, and it's very easy to get caught up in this blame game. I think taking decisions, knowing yourself is very important. What is going to be right for you, you have to decide that. And most important is be happy and learn to take an accountability for the decision that you've made. I'll give you an example. At a very important phase in my career, I loved the company that I worked with, and the opportunity lay in moving countries and going into Seattle and working there. And my close mentors, who were not a, I would say, were very important to me in terms of whatever decision I took, it mattered what they thought about it. And they said, this is stupid, this is bizarre, you're getting such an important opportunity, and because your family can't move with you, it's stupid of you to let it go. And the only thing that I can confidently say is I knew that if I went, it wouldn't be right for me, because I don't think I can be happy unless I am with my family. And that's important. And I hold myself to that decision. So I think knowing yourself, spend a lot of time getting to know. And, in a traditional, one thing I've learned as I've built friends in different countries, and, I see my son engaging with different people. In India, there seems to be a taboo about taking feedback. It's like the theme of today is, stones are thrown at you. At least take the time to separate the diamonds and the the stones, and polish some. But don't forget the negative feedback that you get, because it will tell you a lot about yourself. So hear, listen, get feedback, know yourself, take a decision, and make no mistake about blaming anybody else in your life when you walk down a path. So that's my two bit about
Thank you.
decision making.
Thank you. Yes, Farhana, over to you.
Adding to what Anand and Avni said, I think it's what makes you happy. I totally agree with that. The decision, like when I said about medical and engineering, when I took it, was my choice. My parents wanted me to do medical, and I said I want to do engineering, and that was my choice. So I think a lot of times, and in the current generation, the youngsters out there, you have a huge opportunity of having various choices and various opportunities open up to you. What you want to do, or which path you want to travel, is something that's your choice. Do what makes you happy. Do what lies in your gut. Somewhere you will know what you want to do, and that may be the best choice at that period of time. As you walk the path, as you grow in life, as you get more experiences, you may reflect back, say, maybe I should have done differently, or maybe I took the right choice. But at that moment of time, it's the right choice. And that's why, to your point, I don't think there's a wrong choice, because whenever someone takes a choice and they take it in independence to, and different people have different thinking. Like, I go with my gut, I go with what makes me happy. Like Avni said, the same. Anand makes lists. A lot of people I know take a lot of outside counsel and then kind of come up with this, so that everyone has their unique way of coming or making a choice. And whatever choice you make, that is the right choice at that period of time. And life will keep giving you opportunities. There will be folks in life, and as long as you don't regret doing what you did, you can always go ahead. And if you do, you can always make a change. You know, the beauty in life is that they keep giving you opportunities. Grab it. If you think that time it was the wrong choice, go take the other part. It's a decision tree we learn in physics, right? There's different paths. So if you think that was the wrong choice, it's giving you another opportunity. Take another path. So I think, and that goes back to my first point. As long as you're constantly evolving and learning, there is no wrong choice.
Super. Super. So now we are at the end of the maybe a rapid fire round, if I may call it. We don't have a clear winner, it seems, although Anand, I have to say that the ladies are perhaps leading by a fine margin.
No,
so
I would agree with you completely. And yes, they are definitely more interesting than the men, actually.
But don't worry, you have a chance to catch up, because you know what I'm going to do is to make it even more interesting. I'm going to actually take one of the very we have a huge number of questions coming in, and of course we just have 10 minutes left. So I'm going to combine one of the questions and request each of you to give your answer, and I request you to please be brief, no more than 60 to 90 seconds. This will be a part of the rapid fire round, and it's also a question, as I said, that the audience really wants to know. Share with us either your biggest failure or at least a very, very important failure in your life, and how did you come out of it?
So, I don't want to say these are failures in that sense. I think we have failures all the time. And as running a business for the last 30 years, I have seen multiple situations where we have had to make wrong decisions, or we have not made the right decisions at all because we didn't move in. So failures are something, in my opinion, happen all the time. I think how you respond to that is really the key. You have customers where you may mess up. It's not about the fact that bad things happen. It's how you deal with it. It's what really makes the difference. So I don't worry about the failures. I worry about how you recover from them.
Right. Thank you. Avani?
I think when I reflect back, one of my failures has been to connect with people at the right time, especially dear friends. I think I've lost one or two by sheer not taking the time out to hear them properly and to listen to what they had to say, and lost out on a meaningful relationship. I think a dear friend I kind of completely lost out in school. I think another failure is also to not be able to give an important person I worked with a second opportunity. I think that was my failure. I think he was in a haste, and I'll just be brief. He kind of gave up very easily. And when I reflect back, I think or not just me, but some of us in the organization had the ability to hold him and give him an opportunity and not just let him go. He gave up and he said, "I want to quit." We could have done so much more, and I wish that I had taken that chance and not given up on that person. It was my personal failure. That's what I think. Therefore, I'm very careful about listening, both personal and at the professional life. I think listening is very important to the feedback that you get.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Farhana would love to hear.
So I said a professional failure. I would say failure, it's something, and I think the girls can learn from this. I think early on in my career, I was given this opportunity by someone senior in the organization, and I thought I was not ready for that. So I in my head said, no, I was not ready. So I didn't. So even my whole body language and my whole when I was supposed to go for that presentation or the interview / for that role, my whole body language kind of signified that I am here because everyone else thinks I can do this, but I am not sure, kind of stuff. I was like just a couple of years out of management school. And now when I reflect back, and after all, obviously I didn't get that role because the person didn't think I was interested enough. And when I reflect back, my mentor that time told me this one thing. He said, if someone is giving you that opportunity to go, you need to grab it and give your best. If you think someone else thinks you're ready for that role, you in your head think you're not ready for that role, is It's just you not having confidence in your ability. And that was something I still work on, because as women, and I don't know how many of you can reflect with that, but as women, we tend to, if we can't do it properly, we can't do it. So there's no, there kind of is that constant battle in our heads. And a lot of, I think a lot of mentees who come to me, I tell them the same thing, that I think is a personal failure, because I estimated my own capability to do something and lost out on a great opportunity.
Thank you, Farana. Well, I think the ladies, in fact, everybody has been very authentic with their answers. Maybe the ladies, as I said, continue to remain in the lead. We have to, of course, bring this exciting our coffee with Katalyst now to an end. We have just a few minutes left, so we'll take some more questions. I will leave it to the audience to decide which of the ladies or either both of them. It's definitely been very tightly fought. A lot of very good responses. Anand, thank you. I would also not say that you haven't won. I think there were a lot of wonderful responses that and very authentic. Thank you so much, panelists, for being authentic. Word that Avani used is super important with your responses, and so much to learn for our young ladies. I hope that they have enjoyed. We have just a couple of minutes left, and so I'm going to take a few questions. But like I said, we'll leave it to the audience to decide who they feel was the winner, and of course the takeaways for them. Now, another question that's been coming up a lot is how do you shape your career in the early years? Because the early years are so important in terms of what you're going to become. Are there any watch outs that you would like to guide or advise our students? You can go in any order. If we'd like to maintain the same order that we are maintaining, please go ahead.
Okay, let me share with you. So I've been doing a lot of, so I talk to a lot of people, especially in mid-career, who I find are lost in mid-career. And what I have come to a conclusion is that people should plan their 40, 45, 50-year career into 10-year stages. And the first 10 years, you should focus on learning and networking. In the second 10 years, you should become an expert at something, and the world should say that you are an expert at something. In the third 10 years, you should figure out what your end goal is, or what I call the corner office, and figure out how to get to that. You should have a plan to get to that. There's a difference. In the first 10 years, you can chase what is available. In the third 10 years, you need to know where your destination is and work towards it. In your first 10 years, I don't think you should worry about the destination. You should worry about the journey. And as you get to the last part of your career where you get paid, you're going to continue to work beyond that. So you should set yourselves up for retirement. So what will you do after you retire is something you should plan early in advance, because otherwise you'll find yourselves, you have retired and nobody's going to ask you to do anything at all. So you're setting yourself up is very important. And the last thing I want to mention to all of the girls is that, no company can manage your career. You have to manage your own career, and it's your responsibility to manage careers. And you have to be deliberate about it, because it's your life you're playing with.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful to know in each stage what you should be thinking about. And it's not only the beginning, not only the first few formative years. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. Avani, your views on this?
Thanks, Sunit. I think that's great advice, Anand. What I just add is that, don't necessarily try to follow a pattern. Not everybody's goal is to reach a corner office. I completely, this may be disruptive, but actually don't think about anything in your life in terms of designations. I think the first 10 years, I remember when I joined as a TS in the Tata Group, and, a very, very annoying conversation that one of my colleagues had, because he was giving a designation that didn't sound so sexy as the one that I had got. And the head of HR, and he was a very, very senior person, he said, you want to be called CEO, go ahead, but your work is not going to change. So I would say that any point in your career, don't worry about titles. don't worry about designation, because visiting cards are just for networking, right? Just think about the impact that you're going to have in the future. And the first few years of your career, take ample risks, demonstrate ambition, go out there and do everything, because if you follow the philosophy of having a title and reaching X square footage of office, you are not going to make mistakes, you're not going to take risks, and you're going to set yourself back. So be who you are in the first few years and be a sponge out there, like learn, take risks, go out and do assignments which other people don't want to. The other very important thing that, not just as women, even if I talk to any group of people, I tell them is try and find organizations, try and find people who are in balance with your view of life. When that your view of life, I mean your values. It's very important to have that harmony, because if early on you're going to make a lot of compromises as to who you are and what you stand for, you are not going to be able to, think about leadership, because when you're a leader, you're responsible for careers of people on your team. So if you've not made mistakes, if you've not taken risks, if you've not learned, you will not be able to be a leader. And I think that's what the journey should be about. So forget designations, don't worry about your visiting card. The other last advice I would leave you is, while you find an organization that is like you, that has values that at least 50% are in sync with who you are, find leaders, because talking to different kinds of people, whether they are peers or seniors, like she said she had a sister who walked that path. It is so important when the chips are down, and it is equally important when the chips are up, because they will guide you as to where you can go to the next level. They should be able to challenge you, they should be able to push you really hard to strive for what you're made to be. So those are a few things that I think I remember doing in my career, and I'm still learning. I don't think I have a formula worked out, but I think taking risks and really finding that purpose is very important.
Thank you, Avani. That's very nice. And last but not the least, Farhana, would love to hear your views on this important point.
Nothing, Sunit. So the two things which I have done. One, I'll refer to a quote by Anand Deshpande. When we joined Infosys, it was my first job, and on an induction day, that time he was the CEO. So he came and he told us only one advice, and that's something I really personally think it's very valuable advice. He said, you will learn, you will grow, you will do a lot of good things. The only advice I want you to do, like literally tie it with yourself, is that in every city you go, you should have 2 friends or 2 people you can call up and meet for dinner or lunch. So network like crazy. And we were fresh out of college, and we were like, he's not giving us gyan on anything else. He said, because when you grow in life, those connects are the people who will matter, whose advice will matter, who you can reach out to, who you will learn from. And that is something I have always covered in my life. And the second advice is, I totally believe that if you don't identify with the values of the company, you'll never grow. So I have in my life always been in companies where I think I will retire from that company. Like I love the value, I love the structure, I love what they want to do in life, and that's why maybe in 20 years I've changed very few companies, and that's the entire thing. So I think they're the two advice I would want to give. Network, network not with intention. Network not with the intention that I need something from that person. When you network without any intention, that's the actual connect that you make. And the second one is join companies, or if you think the value of the company doesn't sync up with you, don't be there. It's just not a healthy growth.
Thank you. Very nice. So we are down to the end of this wonderful, wonderful panel discussion. I wanted to thank our panelists for the fabulous answers that they've given. I hope the young ladies, Katalyst, my dear Katalyst, have had a lot of learnings. There have been so many important takeaways. I'm not going to even try to summarize them, but yes, we'll share with you proceedings if you'd like to review that. But once again, thank you so much, Anand. Thank you, Avani. Thank you, Farhana. And thank you to all our people in the audience